Hello, everybody, and welcome to Outside the Box, Inside the Money. I'm your host, Jay Stanley, the DFS Outsider. Man, I'm going to tell you, this is all new to me, so sorry for the little bit of delay. Just trying to get things ironed out, so I'm hoping that everything is good. I had it all set up right, but I was hearing an echo, and it's hard to talk when you hear it right back in your head like a second later. So here we go. We're going to talk about the Rocket Classic. Man, from what I've been reading and my research, they have done a $16 million renovation to this course. This is the last edition of the Rocket Classic. A little bit sad. This has been a scoring fest in the past, but they've changed two of the par fives, which were the most you know lowest scoring like under compared to par holes on the course. So hole 7 and 17 are now super long par fours. So what does that mean? So let's talk about last year. Aldrich Potgier wins the tournament at minus 22, right? On these two holes alone, he was minus 7. He had 5 birdies, an eagle, and 2 pars. So let's talk about what that would have scored for this year. That would have been +1. So these are going to be much more difficult. Now, my theory is the approach to a long par four and a par five are completely different. So I'm not necessarily saying everybody's going to be, this is going to be a straight up bogey fest. But when you hit, when you're playing a par five, let's say the yardage is the same. Let's say it's a 510 yards, right? The way your tee shot is hit is going to be completely different. Certain guys know whether they're going to be laying up, or they could be aggressive and then kind of make a decision on a par five. I'm talking. They could make their second shot decision based off of how well their tee shot is. If it's in the fairway, or are they in the second cut? Et cetera, et cetera. What's the angle? Do they have a good look at the green? So I think knowing that it's a par four, I mean, obviously, I think there's going to be more aggressive, you know, drives. I think it's going to give an advantage to players who have good drives, you know, good approach players. The tee to green, I think, just gets elevated by the different the difference in these new two holes. On top of that, they've restructured the greens. So we're going to see different pin locations. We're going to see some different slopes. Um, I think this has made this from a super easy golf course for PGA Tour professionals to maybe a little bit more difficult. I'm thinking the total score is going to be much, probably between 15 and 20 under, rather than with these mid 20s under par scores. And it's dependent on a lot of things. We do have the weather forecast shows that Friday, Saturday, and Sunday there's a possibility of some storms, especially on Friday afternoon. Do I think that this really has I think that it might help the guys that carry further. Obviously, I think the greens are going to be softer if it rains. Obviously, so we'll see how that affects it. But looking at this field, so let's first just look at what we've got here. Um, there's some guys that are. Let's first talk about last week. I'm sorry. Let's not forget about Jackson Coivin. Man, this guy is the real deal. I'm super excited for the future of American golf. I mean, just we've got a lot of really good up and coming young talent, a plethora of it, and I think this guy leads it. Now, what I saw, I watched him all day Saturday and Sunday, and this is a guy that has very high expectations of himself. He is a perfectionist. He was hitting great golf shots and he looked pissed. He's like that just I mean, he I feel like he wants to hit it within 5 feet. He wants the perfect spot on the fairway. I think he is that talented that he doesn't expect to make mistakes. And I think he's talented enough to, when he does, he's savvy. I mean, like he has all the game. He really does. If you just watched the confidence, he had to know on Sunday that Scotty was climbing the leaderboard. I mean, the energy was there, roaring. He was going on a streak, and the guy was just like cool as ice. Like great save on nine. He just heads down the back nine, and like he's not hitting bogeys. He's just keeps making putts, making solid golf shots. But the main thing is just this is a young guy that's super confident. He is not afraid of, you know, any of the players out there. I think he knows already that he can compete. And I think anything other than a win, kind of like I like him. It's kind of like the DFS outsider mantra is I'm looking for first place in these GPP tournaments, and this guy might be my new favorite golfer. Not because of the win just this week, just because after really watching him, I mean he writes something uh, on his glove, on his golf glove, just just stuff that just shows his confidence. I'm very excited. I just he's long, he's a great iron player. He's got the savvy game. I think he just and the main thing, a lot of these guys on the PGA tour are super talented and they can get hot at any time and do the right things at the right times. But I feel like he has that X factor. And not a lot of golfers in the world have that. You know, the Scotty Schefflers, the Tiger Woods, the guys that can just rise to a moment. And I think it might be a little bit early to jump the gun and just start talking about him with these type of players, but I think we need to be excited. I think he's going to be highly owned in this tournament. You know, just to see what he did last week and come right back here and play. He's going to be upwards over 20%. And you know, a lot of times I shy away from the high owned players, but there's times to just play the chalk and play good chalk, and I will have a good amount of him this week. But let's look at this field. All right, we got Cam Young. Cam Young, just fantastic season that he's had. You know, he's coming off a second at the Open. You know, he went through a little mediocre spell, but before that, he was playing absolutely phenomenal. He's got a second and a sixth here. He's got history with this course. He's confident playing confident. He's rested. I'm excited for him. He will be the highest owned player on the state, rightfully so. Very fair pricing, 10,500. Speaking of pricing, I'm super excited to not have. I love Scotty Scheffler. Don't get me wrong. The problem with DraftKings is if you want to play him in a tournament, your average golfer is going to be like 71, 7,200 per week, and you're just gonna have to play two, three guys down in the gutter, and it's kind of nauseating. You know, I'm happy. This slate is fun. There's a lot of different ways to build. There's a lot of great golfers. Xander not playing up to Xander potential, I think, this year, but he hasn't played bad. I mean, we did have the miscut at the Genesis, but he did finish T18th at the Open. He played well at the PGA. U.S. Open 11th. I think it would be foolish to say that he couldn't win this golf tournament because we know what he can do. He's a great tee to green player, um, and he could win it. But the three main guys, Cam Young, Xander, and Chris Gotterup, are the three that I'm really just like, they're rightfully priced. 9,800 for Chris Gotterup. Chris Gotterup could bomb the shit out of this golf course. Let's be honest. We've seen what he can do when he's not penalized for maybe slightly missing the fairway or whatever, because he's going to be putting that 320, 330, 340 yard drives in, and just setting himself up for more wedges, more 9 irons into the green. And you know he's a good putter. So if you look at what he's done this year, and you go down, I see he didn't putt so great at the Open Championship, but 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13 tournaments prior to that, he gained strokes with the putter. So, and he's a great approach player. He's going to be the guy, him and Cam Young both, I'm going to have massive exposure, plus over 30% exposure. To let you all know, for those of you all don't know me, I play my style. I only play GPPs. I play low buy-in. I play the 50 cent, the dollar, $3, $5 max entry, those type of tournaments. And I play the ownership game. I look for leverage. I look for plays that I really like that I want to get in super overweight on, or fade guys that are highly owned that I think um, I can find leverage elsewhere. And I'm looking for wins, top threes, but really I'm looking to win GPP. So I don't look at every week as you're not going to win every week. You're not going to take down a GPP, large field GPP every week. All right. If you hit one or two per year, per season, and you just stick to playing, and you're going to be up some weeks, around even some weeks, maybe a little down depending on how the week goes. But the way I play, I take down GPPs. I do it in NASCAR, I do it in NFL, and I do it in PGA. And I've just have this formula of success, and I stick to my guns. And I'm going to be building a kind of like a DFS Bible, just like my philosophies, the outsider mentality. And I hope that you guys will those will be coming out here over the next few weeks. Been working very hard on those, and that's just going to give you a little insight into the way that I think. So I'm looking for people. If you want to watch me, I'm the type of guy. I'm a little wild and crazy. I'm not afraid to toss in ugly lineups, because, in all honesty, that's how you take down GPPs. We're looking for those low known guys, looking for ways to construct differently, ways to just get different. A lot of guys watch all these golf shows, and they use the optimizers and the sims, and they talk about the metrics you should be doing, and they spit out all very similar players. And if you're stuffing all your money in, and you're going chalk 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 chalk, you're just, even if you win, you're probably going to be splitting it 4 or 5 ways, 3 ways, which to me, yeah, it's still a nice day, but I'm greedy. I want all the fucking money. So that's how I roll. So let's get down into this week's tournament. We're going to build some lineups here. If let's see, if you are here and watching, feel free to pop in and say hello in the chat, and I look forward to talking to you guys, and we can discuss some golf. But we, like I said, we talked about the top three guys: Jackson, Covey, Siwoo offers. He's interesting enough. He doesn't have great form here. He does have a T14 here. As far as course history goes, I'm not saying we should be focused fully on that. I'm just giving it as because the course is going to be different, but there is still going to be, it's the same dog leg left, dog leg right. It's still the same course, just going to be a little different with the greens, and like I said, the par has gone to it down to a 70. So, but I don't think it's just like some completely different golf course. So course history is going to be important, but I'm really looking for tee to green players. I'm looking at par four scoring. I think bogey avoidance gets a bump now, especially in this type of tournament. Looking at proximity from 150 to 175. Um, and I'm looking for guys that can get hot with the putter. Not necessarily like consistent putters, just, certain guys, just like, if they're playing well, that's what I'm looking for here. Think the cream is going to rise to the top in this tournament. I think you're going to see the better golfers all, a lot closer to the top of the leaderboard. But Siwoo offers me a little bit of leverage. I'm not going to go wacky on him just because I think the options around him are better, but he's looked pretty well the last two times out. T9 at the Genesis, T6 at the Open. I like a guy that's playing confident. Um, is off the tee numbers. We know what he can do, his approach numbers. And the putter, which is hot and cold. has looked really good. He's gained over 3 strokes the last 2 tournaments. He's gaining pretty much all over. And man, there's leverage spot number one. So I'm not going to be up in the 30%, but I'm definitely going to have some exposure to some Siwoo Kim. Um, and if we go down, Wyndham Clark's having a great year. T8 here. He did get cut last time out, but Wyndham Clark is playing different golf. He did get cut at the Open Championship, but go prior to that, third, 11th, first, fifth, 13th. Do we really want to jump off the bus here? He's projected probably in the upper teens. Um, I think that's fair. I think that's fair. I think you can get a little leverage here with Russell Henley off of Wyndham if you're going to go there. So in the construction, because of the pricing, you can literally fit 3 and 4 of these, top, 8,000 and above players into your lineups. I don't really like anything super deep in the sixes, but there's a lot of upper six plays that I'm very interested in due to recent form or just maybe a little bit of course fit. So, but let's talk Russell Henley as a little leverage spot on Wyndham Clark. He does have a T10 here. Finished ninth at the Open, 12th at the Travelers. He won back at the Charles Schwab. He's not as heavily golfed as of recently as some of these other guys. So Russell Henley is a guy that you can count on to play well. He doesn't not play well very often. He's just you know, a good ball striker. You know, he's just got a lot of the tools, and he played well at the Open. He gained all across. Around the greens, he's a little bit sporadic, but his approach game seems to be dialed in right now. His off the tee game, tee to greens, looking great. Didn't play that well at the U.S. Open, but that's this is a different golf course altogether than the U.S. Open. So I I'm interested. Give me a little bit of Russell Henley. Let's talk about Hideki. So if you read my news article last week, I was all over Hideki. Hideki played phenomenal, finished third. Man, the guy's figured it out. So he had a great end of the year, beginning or super early in the year, he's playing phenomenal. And just honestly, his driver just started going every which way but loose. Even his approach game was a little bit inconsistent. The putter struggled at times. Um, but here we are. We're going to talk about a streaky golfer. I would say he's a fairly streaky golfer. And let's look at the last 3 tournaments: 14, 14th, third. And prior to that, we're talking 65, 43rd, 26, 71, 53rd. So he wasn't, he was in a funk. I wouldn't say he necessarily had the yips, but just golf is a game of confidence. He was not playing very confident. And now we're seeing the confidence come back. So, you know, course fit or not, he's not the longest player on the PGA Tour, but he's long enough, you know. And don't let the off the tee numbers for the season fool you. He's hitting it well right now. I watched him play. He played with Scotty, and he was toe to toe with Scotty, playing every bit as good as Scotty was for the 3 rounds that I saw. Like he just playing well. So I like a guy in this field, not the super strongest field. It's a nice field, but I feel like this is a guy that can win this golf course at 9,000. So definitely going to have a lot of him. Um, Ben Griffin, I'm not sold that he's going to go out and just win this golf tournament, but at 8,900, I tend to think that it's good to have him in there because he definitely has top 10 upside. But I prefer over Ben Griffin. I prefer Hideki obviously over him, Jake Knapp and JJ Spawn, and even Ryan Gerard. This is a nice little range, so you could pick one of the 3 up top and then fit in maybe 2 of these guys, or even possibly 3. Um, Depending on how you shape the rest of your lineup. But Jake Knapp, let me explain something to you about Jake Knapp. And I got into a discussion with my my buddy about this, and he basically was telling me, "Oh, Jake Knapp sucks, whatever. Jake Knapp disappointed a lot of people, whatever." Okay, yeah, for he was injured. Like the guy was not feeling good, and it's taken him some time to get rolling again. I mean, let's go back to Jake Knapp earlier in the year. T3, T11, T5, 8th, 8th, 6th. He did get cut at the players, but 6th, 11th. This is a guy that plays good golf, and he's very long, and I'm seeing him over the this week, this last week at the 3M. He really started to figure it out. He had a phenomenal round four. He gained almost 7 strokes tee to green on the week, 8 strokes total. His approach game was elite. We know he has some work to do around the greens, but the putter was positive, and he hasn't been absolutely terrible. Um, he's shown that he can get super hot. You look at him in Houston gaining five. I see a lot of 4, 5s, and 6s for tournaments with the putter. So we know he can get hot with the putter. These are going to be greens that he can make and hit. And I think he can get a hot putter rolling. He's struck the ball really well this week. All encouraging signs. You know, could we go back to that? I don't think so. I think this is a week that you want to be ahead of the game and not behind the game, because if he plays well here again, you're not going to get I still think he's going to be pretty highly owned. I think he's going to be in the mid-teens somewhere under ownership, just because there's so many other guys. But he is a guy that some people are going to be putting in. I mean, he had a T4 here last year. If he doesn't have that T4 here last year, I think he's lower owned, but likes the course, played well last week. He's finally healthy, and it looks like he's feeling good and starting to feel good about his golf game. I like a guy that when he's feeling good, that plays well, and he did it over a nice 6, 7 week stretch. Could he have one of those bad days and throw in there and miss the cut? Absolutely. But we don't give a shit about a guy that could miss the cut. I don't, I'm looking for guys that have a higher ceiling. I don't give a fuck so much about the floor. I'm looking for a high ceiling guy. His metrics line up. Played well last week. Played well here last year. Check, 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 check. Checks are good for me. Give me some Jake Knapp. JJ Spawn. Wow. JJ Spawn's done well here. Hasn't played lights out, but he did finish 7th of the Travelers. He's had some good finishes this year. He's a hit or miss kind of guy as well. So he's a kind of guy that sometimes he doesn't have it, sometimes he does. But the tee degree numbers are phenomenal, which I think can take a huge bump here. Um, and, you know, if you look at him, he's the type of guy, like I said, it could be feast or famine. All green at the Open, even though he only finished T40. But, you know, we know what he can do with his irons. It's all about, I see the putter turning around. The putter turning around is really important to me. I think that's kind of like for him. If JJ Spawn's putting well, JJ Spawn can win a golf tournament. And that's what I like, the upside for him. So give me some JJ Spawn. Ryan Gerard, not the greatest course history here, but you got to like what you're seeing here. You're seeing a guy that is also a solid tee to green player. Um, who fits in pretty well, starting to play pretty well. He's green across the board at the Open Championship. You know, saw what he did at the Memorial. Even though he didn't hit it off the tee that well, he's since been driving the ball pretty well. His approach game, we know he can get streaky. We saw him have a good approach game at the Open. We know his short game is up and down. Right now, it's up. I like guys where I see a lot of things pointing up. He's a guy, also another guy that everything's pointing up. No interest in Harris English whatsoever. The guy is in a funk, and he's a guy that I've played and I had some success with in some tournaments earlier in the year, but just not really on him. I have a little bit of Ashke. You know, he's kind of like, he's an upside player too. A lot of people like to click that button on Ashke. He's just like a likable guy. He's a guy that people like to bet. People like to play him. I'll have my exposure to him. Not gonna go crazy with it. Um, Here's somebody that really interests me as well, Michael Thorbjornsen. So Michael Thorbjornsen is another one that kind of goes if the putter's going. Didn't putt the greatest at the Open, but he did everything else really well. The week before at the Genesis, he did putt well. I feel like if he can just get in the green with his putter, we could see a top 10. And if he's in the top 10 at this price tag, he's probably going to have to be in the optimal. So that's my thinking on him. So I definitely want to have some exposure to him. So if you're not playing, three of these mid guys, maybe you can go two and then drop one a little bit lower down to Thor Bjornsson, and that can help you get to, one of these higher six guys instead of dipping down in the sixes. So I only know this because I've built like freaking 300 lineups already. So this is what I do. I do this a lot. So Ricky Fowler, 8,100, another guy. He's won this tournament. You know, but the good thing about Ricky is he played pretty decent the last couple times out. This is one of those weird spots where, you know, I mean, gaining all across at the John Deere. He hasn't played a ton of golf, but it looks like since getting cut three in a row, he's turned it around. And who doesn't like to bet Ricky Fowler? Let's go. So give me a little bit of him. Same thing. Won't go nuts on him. Some other guys that I'm super interested in. I like that Michael Brennan. Really liked what he did. He kind of faded on Sunday, but young guy that's just getting more and more experienced, and we know what he's just so good off the tee. And then in a course where he can just attack with the driver, if he can do the other stuff just competently and maybe get a hot putter going, he's a guy that I could see. Wouldn't surprise me to see him up on the leaderboard. It just wouldn't surprise me whatsoever. And I think you're going to get very modest ownership. So um um, Davis Thompson, I think his ownership's going to, just because of the history here and the T7 last week. But I'm looking at the tee to green game. That the tee to green game is what stands out to me as a recipe for success here. So I want to see some exposure to that. Eric Cole, you know, played well the only time here. He's kind of cold. Think you can get some low ownership on him. I like him a lot in like the single day tournaments, but he wouldn't surprise me to see him now. Jackson Suber. I've been all over Jackson during this run. So like not just in I had him in some bets, top tens and stuff like that. And I like the way the guy plays. I really do. He's super strong tee to green player. He does everything well. If everything clicks well for him in this tournament, which totally could happen, he's been a little erratic with the driver the last 2 weeks, but I don't think I'm hoping that this isn't a long term trend. He did go through a stretch earlier in the year where he had, and then he got hot again. I'm hoping we're just not going straight down. I'm not going to go super crazy with it, but I love his approach game, and he's definitely a guy that can do enough with the putter. So it's going to be one of those things. Can he do everything? But I'm more excited, honestly, about a few different guys, and the tee to green game for Ben Coles. Ben Coles, man, whew, he's made me some money. In the John Deere and in the 3M, he did me really nicely. I was all over top 20s with him, paired up with some World Cup stuff. I had him. I'm Man, the guy is playing pretty good golf. I mean, he's in his late 30s. He's not a young kid. He's been around, but I think it's smart to bet a guy that's in form. So that's kind of how I feel. Like bet a guy that's playing well, right? So I mean, is he long? He's not a super long player, but the guy is super accurate. He hits his greens, and he's a capable putter. That's a good way of putting it. He's a capable putter. So we'll go back down. We have last year's winner, Aldrich Podgear, 7,300. Whew. The guy can crush the ball. Let's just say that. You're gonna have to throw him in. He's a feast or famine play. I think he's gonna be pretty decently owned, probably around 10%, just because he won here last year and he hits it so far. But to be honest, he's really not playing well right now at all. So I mean, in courses where distance mattered, like the Genesis and the Open Championship, he did not play well. So I will have a sprinkle of him, but not a lot. Um, I like Kevin Yu this week. Did enough last week. T16, T24 at the Corrales. I T31 and a cut. Not nothing that's super exciting, but I just think the metrics line up. He's a good enough tee to green player, and the distance is pretty good, and the accuracy is good. Checks a lot of boxes. It's just a matter of getting that rolling that rock, man. Just getting that putter rolling. So that's going to be the case. But those are the type of guys I like. Kevin, you could definitely top 10 this tournament. Would not surprise me. And a guy that I have some a weird suspicion about, and I don't normally. This is just like a total gut shot fucking play. Is Steven Yeager at 7,100. Great approach player, pretty good tee to green over the last few weeks. Missed some cuts and still gained tee to green. I think if he gets the driver figured out enough, I think this is a forgiving course with the driver. So I feel like he has opportunities if he's hitting his approach game is elite. And if he can just have one of those weeks where he can actually putt, like in the PGA Championship, he was phenomenal. The Byron Nelson, the John Deere, he's shown the ability to run a hot putter. I don't think he's going to win this golf tournament, so that's not what I'm saying. But at this price, he's a guy who can maybe give you some leverage. A lot of people, he's not a guy that a lot of people like to play. I have this weird feeling about him. Harry Hall played well here last time. He is not playing well at all, you know, but not a great tee to green player. So John Perry is a guy that I like. Good tee to green player. Hasn't played well. Hasn't played here. No history, but he's played solid enough at the Open and the 3M. He had two top 28s. He's definitely a guy that you can sneak into there in some lineups at some very low ownership. Um, Taylor Moore has a great history here. 3 cuts in a row. But you can't ignore like. Do you want to play a guy just because of the course history? Here's your guy: sixth, fourth, 10th, playing like crap, missed 3 cuts in a row. Even the numbers don't really scream like, "Hey, play me." But you just look over at that course history and you're just like, "Damn!" Like, what if he does that? You can get a guy that under 3% owns right there probably. Chris Kirk, 6,900. Look, the guy played solid this last week at the 3M. He had a solid week. The dude always seems to play and show up well here. 6,900 is nothing. Take a stab at him. Rico Hoey, going to be no ownership on him. He's just not played phenomenal golf the last few weeks, but showed some course history here. 6,900. There's a guy you can look at. Echeverria got 6 last year. Don't like the way he lines up. I'm looking more at just like tee to green numbers. So Kirk Bachow, Hoy, look good. Meow really is an interesting play. T34, but he had a 10th at the ISCO. Did get cut at the 3M, but I think this course lines up to his wheelhouse a little bit better. The main guy in the sixes that I really want to talk about is Chandler Phillips. I mean, like just a 3 week stretch, actually a 5 week stretch. He did get cut at the U.S. Open, but didn't play terrible. 4 to the last 5 weeks, T15, he had a T13 last year here. And if you dive into the numbers, you just see a lot of green. A lot of green. Green across the board, 2 weeks in a row. You know, The driver seems to be in order. The approach game has finally been figured out. He really struggled all year with the irons. He's got it dialed in. We know he's a fairly good short game player, and we're just seeing those numbers improve every week. And I want to play a guy that's just like pretty much super hot, for lack of better terms. So Chandler Phillips all day long. I do think he's going to have a good amount of ownership. So we have that to overcome. Um, some other guys, AJ Ewert's never played here. Um, really can get can his putting carry him here? I don't know. It's cheap price tag though. Kevin Roy, another guy, T8 last year, played pretty well last week. What do you do with him? You know. Some other guys, Patrick Fishburne, a little interesting to me. Did T25 2 years back, got cut last year. Wasn't playing as well last year. He's played pretty well in back-to-back weeks, but he's accurate. He's fairly long, decent tee to green player. And I'll have some interest in him. Joel, Damon, I'm two top 25s out of the last 5 years here, but we've seen 3 solid weeks in a row out of him, and you know, doing pretty well. Tee to green, 6,600 is not too much to ask for him. Another course history guy's Cam Davis, but we know what he's been doing this year. He did play well at the Genesis, not worth a little exposure to maybe. But the guy that I'm kind of interested in is Hayden Springer, another guy 6,500. Pretty good course history. Did get cut last week, but he's pretty long, and I think with a good week he can get you a solid finish. So, any other deeper cuts that you want to talk about? Van Royen, um, such a good short game. It's all about how he's hitting it, and if you look at him the last couple weeks, his approach game looked pretty, but he was really terrible off the tees. Missed the cut a couple in a row. It's just a matter of you know inconsistent iron play and off the tee play, and relying super heavily on the putter. So if he can have a week where he can just it's like the week before he was good off the tee, but he was bad with his irons. He flipped it. If you can somehow get them both going in the same week, you could see a T20 that could put him in an optimal. So, all right, let's build some lineups here. Um, Let's switch you over to screen 2 here. And this is what I'm talking about. So when you don't have Scotty and Rory and these super expensive golfers, I wonder like I wonder if these are just like computer generated numbers based off of finishes and whatnot. I don't even know if there's a specific person that makes the pricing, but sometimes I look at it and I'm just like, what the fuck? Like the whole Scotty. First of all, there should never be a golfer over 13,000, and that's for NASCAR. If you're in these six, where you're picking 6 players and you got you know this salary format with the $50,000, there should not be a golfer over 13,000. That should be like a max. So I could see Scotty being 13 grand, but these 14 fives and 13's even ridiculous. I mean, like Rory, I think Rory is like between 11.5 and 12. That even if you start with him, it's just your lineups are it's a lot more difficult. I get why they do it. But you bottleneck the slate, and you're requiring a guy that you should be able to put into your lineup without having to vomit looking at the rest of your lineup. So that's how I feel about that. I'm not going to go into a long soliloquy. If you read my articles, I bitch about it all the time. But this slate is super fun. So you can always start. So a lot of people like to start at the top. You know, there's different ways of doing this. Jason Day, by the way, withdrew. He's out for this tournament. Um, let's say you like just really, 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 really super like Chandler Phillips, and you want to start with him. And then if you start from the bottom up, and then maybe let's say you want to just, I mean, like a Meisner or a Coles. Let's throw Coles in there. So I think these guys are going to be a little bit chalky. So in this type of build, I would probably go with a little more leverage. Something like this. That leaves me 7,500. You throw Xander, Russell Henley, Hideki in there. And now you still have 7,500 to throw you a Jackson Sewer in there. So if you just look at this lineup, this is the tournament winning line. This lineup could totally win this tournament. I mean, you got high upside, top 20, top 10, top 20 type players here. Could win, could win, could win. Top 5, top 10 equity. Like great, great way to build a tournament, or excuse me, a lineup. I think it's important also to understand the importance of leaving money on the table. Okay, so let's say we just build traditionally. You're gonna obviously, let's say, start with Cam Young, but look right here. We're at 7,900. If you got a 14,000 guy, you're at like 7,000. That's a $900 difference per player. Like you could just throw one value play. It doesn't even matter who it is. Like let's just throw Van Ryan in here. Now look, now we're up in the eights, and you could just build all over that shit. You know what I'm saying? You could throw a Kevin Yu in there. Now we're sitting at 8,600. We talked about liking Thompson, and now we've got 9,000 for two golfers. You can throw you a Goddard up. It still leaves you at 8,300, which is perfect for a Michael Thorbjornsen. Look at this, dude. You got Goddard up and Young in the lineup. You still got high upside all around. So, outside of maybe Van Rooyen is super risky, but the dart play was just to show you the salary. So, just talking about how we construct. Now, let's talk about leaving money on the table. You start off with Goddard up. Throw maybe Wyndham Clark in there. We said we like Jake Knapp. We go down here and get some value. We talked about Christian Kirk. We like him. We like Roy. All right, 8,400, right? Most players, especially not experienced players, like, oh my God, look at this. I can throw Ashke in. What a perfect thing. Okay, not the end of the world. This lineup still might be unique because I got Roy and Kirk in there. Not a lot of guys are going to have them. But let's say we're a little bit more chalky right here. Okay, let's say you do have Chandler Phillips and maybe another guy in there that might be a little more chalky. This is how you're going to get different. You're going to go down here and play you a Penge or a Thompson, or you can even go lower and get you a Suber or McCarthy or a Kiefer. Somebody like you can get a little ridiculous, Say like Ricky Fowler. Throw Ricky Fowler in there. That $300 on there, just every $100 of salary that you leave on the table gives you a higher percentage chance of being unique. Being unique is not the end of the world if you win. Let's say it's a 25,000 first. Yes, three people chop it. You add up for second and third and divide it by three. But instead of getting 25 grand, I'm not doing the math. I don't know. I'm not even going to look at it. But it might be 17. You don't win that often. I want the EV is completely different if you're unique. You know what I'm saying? So like I'm real big on that. So I would be more inclined to play, Thorbjornsen, Fowler, or maybe even getting a little silly and throwing a Brennan or a Bridgman. Throw a Bridgman in here, leave 500 on the table. I've been known to come down even further, throw a Ben Coles in here, leave 1,100 on. Who cares? This you're looking to just stuff guy. It's not about the price. It's about players that you think. I would say the further down the board, think top 20. You know what I'm saying? You get into like 7,000 range, you're looking top 15. You get into 8K range, you're looking at like top 10 upside. And obviously, you're also looking for guys that you just think can win. I mean, do we occasionally get some random guy just go nuclear on a course and surprise everybody? Sure, it happens. But I mean, like, the Potkier last year. But, people are going to play Potkier just because of the bombing potential. And if the rest of his game kind of is even decent, he's got, winning upside. But he's very volatile. I will play him. So that's just kind of like, so just look at different ways. If you want to go a little more balanced, you could do Koiven. We said we got, let's do Jake Knapp, JJ Spawn, and Oshke. Look, a way to start this. We still have 7,300. You could come down here and play you a Springer like we said, and then get you another 8,200, and that gets you all the way up into Ricky Fowler, Thorbjornsen territory, or even Brennan. You know what I'm saying? Like there's different ways to go about this. So I'm not saying that I automatically. I said in my article, most of my lineups will have one of these three players, but I am also not afraid to also build some lineups with just a lot of studs. And then if you don't want to go down in the sixes and you have 7,300, you still could go, you know, you know, Coles. Oh, I didn't even click you. Sorry, or Bazane out or something. You know, like look at this. I mean, this is solid as a rock right here. So there's different ways to go about it. If you're a guy that only plays a few lineups, you know, let's talk about your like let's say you've got $50 or $100. Let's say you got $100 you want to spend per week. I mean, you shouldn't be playing three of the $25 tournaments and maybe four or five $5 tournaments. I think you're better off taking your one or two stabs and then going down and playing more fives, or maybe the $3 or something like that. If you're just all you give a shit is about is winning like a lottery ticket and trying to hit, big, it could happen. I won a tournament with just a couple darts in it several times. But I like to have the volume, and the volume isn't like mindless shit. Every single lineup I hand build, and I think of upside, right? Upside. Guys who have less upside will be in less of my lineups, right? Less upside, less upside. Playing terrible, less upside to me. I mean, that's just my opinion. Less upside, you know. There's just guys, Michael Kim, probably not a lot of upside. Hostler, probably not a lot of upside. You know, Tony Finau, probably not a lot of upside. Guys that people are gonna play because they want to feel safe. It's a comfortable name. The Keegans, the Sunjay, the Tony. Now, certain courses might consider some ownership, but here I'm not looking for those type of guys. I'm looking for young, hungry guys, looking guys that are on the the verge of the FedEx Cup, maybe like outside the top 60 or 70, looking to possibly get in. That's why I kind of think Jaeger, Denny McCarthy is interesting, John Perry, Chandler Phillips, like these type of guys, Smotherman, Johnny Kiefer, Mike Meisner, and then Koiven right there in 70th. I mean, like he's gonna be hungry as shit. Trust me. That's a guy that wants to win every tournament he plays in. I see it. I super excited about it. You know, I'd hope you had some fun just looking at the different kind of ways to build and different mindsets. But really, in golf, especially, is you got to stop thinking safe. You got to think of upside, think of ways to be different. You know, I don't like just focusing too much on a single metric. I generally like strokes gained tee to green. I think those are guys that just have the all around game. Like those are guys that generally a lot of your really better players that win a lot of tournaments are the guys that are going to be elite in that. So the guys that haven't broke through yet that have that really great metric, like the Ben Coles and the Subers, those are guys like I'm excited to put into my lineups. You know, I think with the loss of the the two par fives just really is going to make par four scoring. The reason I was thinking birdie or better percentage is there's still a lot of birdies out there on the golf course. It's not a 2 hole golf course. So we're going to see some scoring. So I want guys that are going to go out there that think the driving distance will help maybe get them better proximity with the irons, generally speaking, get some better looks. I think good drive is a good metric here. And in putting inside 10 feet, like this is going to be a course, I think, especially with the greens. I want, especially between that 5 and 10 foot range. I think most guys will sink the putts within five. Most PGA pros are well into the 90s on that. you know, some of them in the super elite level with that, but that five, even like the 15 feet range on a course like this, I think is going to be super important for guys that, like I said, they can get the putter going and get it rolling. Um, Super excited about this slate. I'm going to really work on. I got to get some technical stuff down. I'm working on learning all this stuff. So hope you all are bear with me. I hope this is live recording. I believe it is, but I'm excited about this. I'm excited about working into football. I'm super excited about NFL. NFL is my bag. I do a lot of deep research. I'm home in the lab. I'm working on best ball right now. I'm building a lot of best ball lineups. And same thing. It's about being different. You're in these tournaments with, 100,000, couple hundred, three, four, 500,000 people in it. You can't pick the top of the board every pick. You're just going to be muddled in mediocrity. You have to like think about positions and trying to get like pairings and looking at the weeks for the playoffs, and just if you don't assume that you're going to be in the playoffs, why are you playing? Like some drafts just don't go your way, but dude, anything can fucking happen. You got to put guys in there that have what you think are going to be pretty good matchups for the playoffs, because that's how you advance. So yeah, I I try to reverse engineer my thinking in gambling a lot. Like I play poker. I don't go to a table and just I play. I'm just gonna play my game. I try to outsmart people, outthink people. But if I'm at a super aggressive, crazy table, I tend to play a little different style. Get in when I can, and let them bet into me and take as many chips as I can. In DFS, I try to find leverage, try to find ways to be different. In sports betting, the lines come out, everybody beats certain people into the ground, and I like for the line to move and get some action elsewhere, and get a better line. I it's how I always. That's just my thinking. I think that being different is the difference in being successful at this stuff. I've been doing this stuff for many, many, many years. I used to call my bets in on Sporting News. I had so I have some ideas, honestly, for some really good improvements to DFS that at some point I'm going to implement and get rolling, because I think that I can make it even better than what it is. So it's been great talking to you. Let's go take down a fucking GPP together. I hope that you like my content. Try to just go through some different guys tonight. I'm trying to get more comfortable on camera. I think I have all the right ideas. It's just a matter of learning the whole process and making sure that I clicking the right buttons and doing the right thing. And going to be doing some more test runs. But my video library is going to be starting out soon. I hope you guys will check that out. Please like, subscribe, do whatever you got to do. And I'm going to post my schedule on my website, thedfsoutsider.com, here very soon. So golf, we're getting kind of towards the end of the golf season. We're going to be turning it over into football. NASCAR is kind of working its way towards the end. I do great content for NASCAR. I have a little, if you look at my website under NASCAR, I build a chart and just kind of a way of just seeing the slate, and then I look at practice and qualifying times, and I really know how to attack the place differential, and I do very well. I feel like I have sweats every week for NASCAR, and occasionally I take some good money down there as well. But it's been great talking to you. Just remember, the most important thing to take out of this is stick to your guns, man. If you play smart with your money, play more tournaments, get exposure to different players that you like, and try to, like, if you're using sites where they have projected ownerships, look for that as a way to just leverage, right? A lot of people are getting this guy, but this guy has similar upside and he's way less owned. Who should you play more of? It doesn't always work out. Trust me. I know this. You cannot, you have to have a tough chin in DFS. You have to, especially if you're a GB player. I don't fuck with heads up or 50/50s or multipliers. I play big tournament GPPs, put entries in, put a lot of entries in, go 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 go. All right? You have to understand, if you're thinking is solid, you're going to make money. There's going to be weeks where you make more. There's going to be, it's going to be a little all over the place. You should be able to keep it rolling week to week without having to go crazy with cash games. And then when you hit the big ones, it just makes your ROI through the roof. It makes it all worth it. There's no better feeling than fucking taking down a big tournament. There's no better feeling. It's great. It's like sex. It's amazing. So, all right, I'll let you guys been talking your ears off. Y'all have a great weekend. Feel free to comment on my articles. It's something I would like. If you read my news articles on my website, thedfsoutsider.com, leave me a comment. Tell me what you think. Tell me who you like. Who do you agree with? Who do you disagree with? Tell me why. I'm all about collaborating. I like shooting the shit. So hopefully, here as this channel grows and I get people on board, I look forward to powwowing in the chat and just man, having a great time. Let's take down that fucking GPP because it only takes. We'll see ya.